Let's go ahead and start on the fire stream next. The fire stream is going to be in your particles rollout. Be sure if you don't have your scene grid turned on, just go to your scenes and open your scene grid. You'll have the same view that we've got right here. For the fire stream, think of this as just like a liquid fire just pouring out behind you as you drag it around. We have two clips. We have a texture animation clip. If you notice the texture, we have 4 animated clips right here. And then we have a flame ends, which we have 8 clips being animated right there. Alright, so what we're going to do is put these all together, and we're going to have 3. We'll have a holder that's going to hold the fire, and then it's going to spawn the fireball and the flame ends as we move it around. So we'll go ahead and make the fireball and the flame ends, and then we'll combine them all together. So let's go ahead and go to our hierarchy on the create, go down to the particle system. With the particle system made, go to your position. Let's go ahead and change this to 0, 0, 0. We'll go ahead and relabel this. Let's just call this one Fire Center. And then for the Fire Center, let's go ahead and lower this part and go to our renderer. And we just want to drag that fireball material over to here. And you can name it Fire Center if you like, or Fireball. It's kind of a circular thing, so it could be called either. Alright, our sort mode inside of here, we just want to do by distance. And then for the, make sure we got our billboard set, those are all set. For the material though, you notice that you still see the 4 right here. So what we want to do, we see the 4 here, but in order to make sure it's working correctly, we want to make it part of the texture sheet animation. So we're going to call up 4 frames inside of here. The tiles is currently 1 by 1. We want to do 1 by 4 since there's 4 clips going up and down. And in the animation sheet, you can do the single or the whole. Whole's going to go left to right, top to bottom. The single will go in one direction only. We have our random rows selected. We have our frame over time. Frame over time is just the speed at which it goes between each one of the frames, and you can control that through a curve. Our cycles is going to be how many times it loops through the animation during the lifetime. So we're going to say it'll loop twice inside of it, so it'll be a little bit of a kind of fast motion that happens with it. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll close those 2 up, and let's go to the top here. The duration on this one, let's go ahead and just set that one to 2. That way we have the duration a little bit shorter. We don't need it so long. And then we have the looping, we'll keep it on. And then for the start lifetime, let's go ahead and make that one. It's only going to last for about 0.4 to 0.5 seconds, about a half. So we'll take our constant, we'll do a random between 2 constants, and we'll do a 0.5. So it's going to be a 0.4 to 0.5 random between those 2. So very short, it's just going to show and then go away. The start speed for it, let's go ahead and change this one to 2 constant as well. And start speed on this one, we want it to start pretty slow, so we'll do about a 0.2 and a 0.4. We just want it to kind of grow right there. Alright, the start size, our current one, we'll go ahead and do a between 2 constants. So the start size, we'll go ahead and say this one again is going to be about we'll do about a 1.3, somewhere around there. And then 1.5 to 1.6. Alright, so we'll have a little bit of growing right there. I'm going to move this up just a little bit so you can still see the whole shape as it's on there. For the rotation, we'll go ahead and do the 2 constant as well, and just kind of a similar one we've done is the 0 to 360, so that we'll have the object spawning different directions at start. For the color, we're going to take the color down just a little bit. I'm going to add kind of an orangish brown to it. There we go. So closer on there, maybe a little bit more orange. There we go. So for this one, I'm going for about a 122, 112, 90. And then we'll go ahead and leave the alpha all the way up since we already kind of have a fade through the file itself, the image file. Alright. Go ahead and close this one out. The gravity multiplier, we'll go ahead and take this down a little bit. We don't want it floating upwards, so we'll do a negative 0.4 is that it'll get spawned, but then you'll also have that slow pace to it after. The simulation space, we currently have local. We want to just do world on it. And that way when we move it, it's going to trail behind in a loose format. It won't be rigid directly following it. Okay, the emission side. When it comes to the emission for this one, it's going to be based on time. What we want to do, this is just simply the spawner, but the main one, we'll use it for distance so that it actually spawns a lot of these as it goes around. So for the amount, we don't really need a lot. We don't need a lot of them. We'll just do a 6 on it. And then for the shape, this is going to be, instead of spawning like currently, we've got this wide spawning range right here. We don't really need that wide of a space between it, so let's go ahead and take our radius and just take it down pretty small, like a 0.01, somewhere around there. Yeah, we're just looking for a nice tight shape to go inside of there. The angle itself, let's go ahead and open up the angle a little bit more though. Let's see if we can get, there we go. We'll do somewhere around, looks like maybe about see if 40 works for us. Yeah, so probably about 40. Is that we're just looking for a little bit of an opening to it, but not a whole lot of opening. Alright, so if you have the shape set up, we're emitting it from the base. Let's go ahead and go down to our color over lifetime, and go ahead and click on it. Color over lifetime, if you click on the gradient option here, we want to be able to say that it goes from a alpha shows and then goes back out to an alpha. So remember that top bar right here is the alpha. If you left click anywhere on this top bar, it'll create a little tick for you. And we'll put 2 ticks inside of here. Let's place the one on the left. We'll place this at, we'll put it at about 25. Actually, let's do it about 20%. And let's take the one on the right, and let's do this one about 80. On the far ends, if you left click to select them, you can select it, take your alpha down to 0 on both sides. And while you're doing this, be sure that you're watching over here to see it. Remember, if I was to drag this all the way over to here, notice it's going to be changing how this actually fades in and how it fades out. So we can take this, if we wanted it to be solid, it would be a very hard pop right in the start, where it could actually be a smooth gradient over time. So we're going to have it fade in, and then show solid, and then fade back out. Alright, so let's go ahead and close that one out. And then we'll go for the size over lifetime. Size over lifetime is going to be how big it's going to show. We're going to do the curve on it. That means at the very bottom here, your particle system curves. You can left click to open it up there. That one, we just want to take, for the size of it, we'll take this one and say that once it's spawned, we'll go from a somewhere around a 0.995 down to a 0.9. See if we can get a right around there. We just want a nice sloping curve to it here. So we'll do about a 0.95 down to a 0.9. Alright, so nothing more than that. It's just going to be it's going to slowly trail off smaller as it goes up like that. Alright, so now that you have those, then let's go ahead and finish off by doing a little bit of a rotation to the pieces so they're spawned, but instead of being spawned and static, we want them to rotate around as they go through their lifetime. And we'll change this one from a single constant to a random between 2 constants. Now, we don't want the whole piece rotating around like smoke. Smoke would be a whole 360 rotating around. This one, we just want it to be slightly rotating to the left or to the right. So if you do anything less than 90 degrees, then that's usually a good rotation amount. I'm going to do one, we'll just say we'll put it at negative 70, and we'll do a positive 70. So now we'll have a little bit of a spin to it. It'll start to rotate a little back and forth on it. Alright, after that, we're pretty much finished off with this. Be sure just to reset your position back to 0 if you've moved it. And you should be looking at something close to this right here. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do after this one, we'll look at working over the fire ends, which will be little pieces kind of pulling off from it, and then we'll pull everything together.